Hi, I'm Rosanne from the Social Rose Designer Events. Welcome to episode 3 of our designer series. Today we're going to be designing an oblong floral arrangement. I've got my floral foam wet and set already in place, and it's taped with an X to ensure security so it doesn't move. Today we're going to be designing with some roses, English garden roses, stalks, lisianthus, hydrangeas, veronica, spray roses, sweet pea, and a mixture of different greenery. First, we're going to begin with giving ourselves some structure. And what I like to do is cut off a few of the breaks of the hydrangea because I don't want to use the whole thing. It's a little fuller, which is beautiful, but fuller than what I'd like to have for our arrangement. I always make sure to cut off the nodules of the hydrangeas because they do take up extra surface area, and what you don't want is the hydrangea stem to make a larger hole in your foam. You want to ensure that you have as slender a stem as possible, and you're going to cut the hydrangea on an angle. Next, we're going to use our Italian ruscus to elongate our arrangement. Cutting the ruscus, I use my clippers just because it's a bit of a thicker stem, but you can use your floral knife if that's what you're partial to. I like to have both tools when I'm working next to me. For the woodier stems, I use the cutters, and for the flowers, I like to use my floral knife. My choice is a curved knife. It's just my preference. I can't really explain why. I find it easier to cut my flowers with a curved knife, whatever you're most comfortable with. Now I'm going to use my stalks, and again we're going to elongate the arrangement, and you want to create a nice edge on the bottom of your stem and remove any excess. Next I'm going to take my English garden roses, and the beauty of them is that their petals are not perfect, so we want to just open up the flower, give it a little more fullness, and we're going to use it in front here. Next, we're going to use our Veronica, which is another linear flower. It's going to give us texture and variation. I'm going to use some green New Zealand Pittosporum. And that's a very beautiful, wild greenery that has lots of breaks and lots of movement. Next, we're going to start inserting our roses. And remember, keep your stems nice and long, and if you need to, you can adjust cutting them again. I like to leave some of the leaves on my roses. It's a natural part of the rose. It looks very beautiful in the arrangement as well, and it also helps to fill in the voids and the spaces in between so you're not using so much greenery. When you're inserting your roses, you want to ensure that you have lots of depth variation. You don't want everything at the same height. Now I'm going to go back to my Italian ruscus, and we're going to start giving texture back to the arrangement. Symmetry is definitely important, and you want balance. You don't want one side to be heavier than the other, but you don't want it to be perfect. You want it to look like the flowers are growing naturally in a garden. This beautiful cream-colored lisianthus is just, the blooms are very full. Because the blooms have very different height variations, I tend to cut the stem here I'll keep the actual bloom on the longest part of the stem and I'll cut it again. So I'm cutting it in sections, and that way I'm getting to play with the height of the flower. So we've got these stunning lavender spray roses. When picking a color scheme, you just want to work with colors that are complementary with one another and ensure that the colors are going to work together instead of fight with each other in the arrangement itself. And last but not least, our delicate sweet pea. And the reason I leave these to last is you want to make sure that the most delicate stems are not going to get brushed up against and touched and bent throughout your arranging of your other flowers. So it's best to leave your most delicate flowers to last. So now we've got all of our flowers inserted into the foam, and the final touches are just to add a little bit of greenery to cover the mechanics that you've used for this piece. In this particular piece, I chose to add some texture with some seeded eucalyptus. And we're gonna finish this piece with some salal. And you don't wanna overdo the salal. The salal is there just to cover the mechanics. You wanna have a very delicate use of it because it can be a heavy greenery. And you want to make sure that the top of your arrangement, you don't see the foam. So again, just a few pieces to ensure that your mechanics are covered. And there you have it, a beautiful pastel colored oblong arrangement. Makes a fantastic centerpiece on a round table, or you could have multiple pieces traveling down a gallery table, which is a longer table. And it's something that your guests can still talk over and enjoy each other's company with the beauty of a garden style centerpiece in the center. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and seeing this floral arrangement come together. Thank you for joining us, and if you have any questions for us or any comments, please share them below. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can stay tuned for the next episode. Welcome to episode 2 of our designer series. Today we're going to be... Oh. I hope you'd enjoyed this episode.